the market. Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? What's going on with interest rates? What's going on with inventory? I'll tell you what, a confused mind says no. And more often than not, we have more and more clients coming in and they're having more questions. They want to make moves and they don't know what to do. Hey, Helen-Ann here, and thanks for joining the Wednesday Wake Up. I'm with Jersey Shore Real Estate Experts powered by eXp Realty. And thank you for following along our YouTube channel, Living at the Jersey Shore. Please take a minute to like, subscribe, click any of those buttons that you may see below. It's really important for our following that you guys subscribe to our channel, not just like our channel, but subscribe. It gives us more traction. It really allows us to reach more people and ultimately help more people. If you haven't already, just please take a moment to confirm that you are subscribed to our channel. Now, let's get back to the market and let's get back to what's going on. Real estate is like the weather. There's plenty of times when it is raining in the city and sunny at the shore. Well, what exactly does that mean? What's going on? And that's where local knowledge is key. And I'm going to be stressing this a few times throughout this little chat, if you will. Local knowledge is the key. And I'm seeing more and more out of the area agents taking listings in this particular shore market or representing buyers in this particular shore market. And they don't really know what they're doing and they're not doing a very good job of advising or guiding. And they're acting more like messengers than professionals that are there to guide and advise. Let's jump into the market, a buyer's market. What does a buyer's market look like? A buyer's market essentially means there is more inventory. Buyers now have more choice. Essentially, that means there are less buyers and more sellers. It's a matter of supply and demand. So when you have more buyers looking at the market, you have more eyes on your inventory. We're starting to see inventories ticking up a little bit. That means buyers are having a little bit more choice in the properties that they're choosing. What is a seller's market? Seller's market means there's not a lot of inventory. It means that sellers are essentially naming their price and buyers are saying, well, I really want to move. I'm going to pay it. A seller's market often means that buyers are paying full price. There are situations where you're waiving appraisals, you're waiving contingencies, you're waiving inspections, all things of those natures. Looking at the national real estate market, there are some markets, some segments of the nation that are in what's called a traditional buyer's market. And there are some segments in the nation that are in what's traditionally called a seller's market. Now here at the Southern Jersey Shore, I think it's really more product specific and area specific. We find that our properties that are of the best locations, closest to the beach, on the water, views, things of that nature tend to go quickly, regardless of general market conditions, tend to go quickly. So we are seeing here at the Southern Jersey Shore best and final situations for particular properties. We are seeing multiple offers for particular properties. We are still seeing some buyers waiving contingencies and things of that nature for particular properties. We're also seeing homes lingering. They're not selling. They're sitting. They're getting a little stale. There may be a reason why. Buyer's market, seller's market, sometimes you can have a little bit of both within the same geographic area, and it may be product specific. Sometimes we'll start to see a little bit of a glutton of inventory for a particular style of condominium. And then you may find that there's no inventory for something that has an ocean view or a little bit larger in size or certain amenities that a buyer is looking for. The markets sort of shift, and having that local knowledge, working with a local professional can really guide you and advise you depending upon what side of the table it is that you're sitting on at the current time. We're hosting lots of open houses. As I had mentioned a couple of weeks ago, a lot of the folks that have been coming into open houses were saying, hey, we're waiting for interest rates to come down. We're waiting for the Fed to cut interest rates. I had done a YouTube video 2 weeks ago. Please take a look at that. If you haven't had a chance to view that, that talks a little bit about the Fed, the Federal Reserve, and the role that they play in setting a prime interest rate, as well as a role that they set in how they influence mortgage interest rates. Again, how they influence mortgage interest rates, they don't set mortgage interest rates. It's really important that as a consumer, you understand that difference. If you haven't seen that video already, please take a minute or a few minutes to watch and educate yourself. But another resounding theme that we have been hearing in a lot of the open houses that we have been conducting, so many people coming through, absolutely love the place, and they say, but I've got a place to sell. I got to sell my place. I need to sell my place before I'm going to be able to trade up. We're hearing a lot of that. And at first I was just kind of like, oh, I could appreciate that. When someone says I have a place to sell, part of our job is to help them understand, well, what does that look like? If you wanted to sell your place, how do you sell your place? How do you make those moves work? And what I'm finding is that when a consumer has more questions than answers, they tend not to make a move because they really don't know what to do next. I'm meeting lots of people who currently own a place and they want to trade up, or they want to trade down, or they want to downsize, or they want to get something bigger, or they want to get something closer to the beach, or they've been in a little condominium and now they're ready for a townhome, or they've been in a condominium and now they're ready for a single family home. They don't know if they should make improvements to their place. They don't know if they should consider selling their place. They don't know if they should knock their place down and build a new place. So a lot of folks are having more questions than answers. And that's when I think it's really important for a local real estate professional to be the one to guide and advise, to help you understand if you are going to make renovations, what does that look like? Are you pricing yourself out of your neighborhood by making renovations? Given certain flood restrictions on renovations, are you even able to make the renovations that you want to make without having to potentially raise your house, lift your house above a certain base flood elevation? So there's a lot of things that come into play when you're talking about trying to make some improvements to your home. If you're in a condominium, there's only so many improvements that you can actually make, and creating bedrooms and bathrooms is impossible. We find a lot of people have a 3-bedroom place and now they're looking for a 4-bedroom place. People are looking to trade up. They've got a place to sell. They don't know what to do. So they're paralyzed. They're just sort of sitting in this holding pattern and not really sure what to do next. A confused mind says no. And our job is to help guide and advise you to help you to move forward. Did you know that 40% of homeowners here in America are mortgage free? 40% are mortgage free. That means people are sitting on a tremendous amount of equity on their properties. So there's also a large percentage of homeowners that have over 60% of equity in their properties. So essentially, many homeowners are either mortgage-free or sitting on a tremendous amount of equity. That essentially means that it's cash that they could use toward their next purchase without necessarily having to sell their home. If you have a lot of equity in your current home, you could get a bridge loan, which would allow you to borrow enough to make that next purchase. It's a short-term loan product that allows you to make that next purchase without having to sell your existing property. You could also refi your existing property and pull out the cash that you need to then go ahead and make your next purchase, and then go ahead and allow the time necessary to sell your existing place. But if you said, look, I don't want to create more debt in trying to sell, or I don't want to create more debt in trying to buy my next property. I want to take advantage of the equity that I have. I want to take advantage of where I am with that property, and I don't want to create a lot of debt. Okay, so what do? Talk to a local real estate professional. Local real estate professional can give you a valuation for your property, help you understand in today's market, if you were to sell your home today, what would today's price be? Not the price 6 months ago, not the price a year ago, but today's price. Just to help you really be positioned appropriately, positioned aggressively in the event that you do find a replacement property. Now stick with me here because there's some action steps that you can take along the way while you're trying to figure out where you're going to call your next shore home home. Talk to a local professional, find out what your home is currently valued. That gives you a real good feel for where you stand and the equity that you can use to help make you go towards your next purchase, help you move that money towards your next purchase. So once you've spoken with a real estate professional and you have a feel for what your current home is valued at in today's market, not some pie in the sky number, but truly today's market. Next step would be, let's get a handle on your closing costs. You want to buy something else. What are your closing costs going to look like to make that next purchase? You indicated that you have a place to sell. But what are the closing costs going to be for you to sell that place? Now, you've got some information. You've got some data. You're starting to know your numbers. You know what you could potentially sell your existing home for. You know what it's going to cost you to sell that home. And now you know what it's going to cost you in closing costs to make your next purchase. Now you have a real good feel for the equity that you have, the money that you could potentially spend, and what your expenses are going to be to move forward. Now our mind is not so confused, right? Confused mind says no, but now we're actually getting some answers. We're getting some numbers. We're starting to feel a little bit better about things. Now your next step would be to speak to a lender. Talk to a lender. Have your local real estate professional make a lender recommendation to you. Given the type of property that you're considering purchasing, there are definitely better lenders to work with that are very product specific. A local real estate professional can help you with that. Speak to a lender. They're going to be able to help you talk about existing mortgage rates, which have come down. Wages have actually risen a bit. Home price appreciation has leveled off a bit. So it's now really become a much more affordable time to purchase a home than in the past couple of years. So essentially now, you've spoken with your local real estate professional. You know how much you could potentially sell your home for, how much equity you have in your home. You know how much it's going to cost you to make your next purchase. You know how much it's going to cost you when you go to sell your existing property. And you've spoken with a mortgage professional. He's given you an idea of what interest rates look like, what you can qualify for, how much you can afford to spend. So now you're really putting yourself into a position of power. You're positioning yourself essentially as being ready. Now your next step would be to go out and look at some desirable properties. Do you see any possibilities? Do you see something that you could trade up in? Can you find something that you can say, yeah, I think this would work for our family. This could be the next place for our next move. Again, you want to make sure you've done all the things that you can do to position yourself as ready, because now you want to go out and look at a couple of properties. If you feel as though you're seeing inventory, checking off most of your boxes, then your next natural step would be for you to go ahead and list your property for sale. You need to get your property actively listed for sale and out on the open market. There is a tremendous amount of buyer demand right now. Just like you, as you're looking for your next property, your buyer may be looking for their next property as well, and it's your home. People buy and sell every day for all sorts of reasons. And here at the Shore, people aren't coming for jobs. People aren't coming for our schools. They're coming because they want to be here and the timing is right for them. And if your home is not on the market, it will never be sold. You're not going to be able to move on to your next place until you put your place on the market for sale. And most importantly, it is showing your potential seller, the guy that you're going to go look and maybe want to buy his house, you're showing that person your level of motivation. You're showing that person that you've done everything you can possibly do to move forward other than selling your home. You're ready to go. It shows motivation. And then the next tool that I want you to consider using is something called the home sale contingency clause. It is something that is used under certain market conditions, not all market conditions, but in a market where the buyers seem to be a little bit more of the driver's seat, if you will, in terms of the buyers saying, hey, look, I want to buy your place. Will you work with me? For the most part, a lot of sellers are saying, yeah, I will work with you. Given this time of the year, they're not looking to really collect any more rental money. They may not be using their place that much because we're rolling into the fall and heading into the winter over the next couple of months. So usage for these short properties is not quite as high. It is very plausible to think that a homeowner who's trying to sell his home will go under contract with you and work with you and give you the time that you need to sell your home. But first, you must take all the necessary steps to empower yourself with information so that you're prepared to do that. And then you're letting your potential seller know that you truly are a motivated buyer. You know what you're doing. You're working with a real estate professional and you're ready to go. But just because you have a place to buy does not mean that you are stuck. And if your agent is saying, well, you have to sell your place before you can do something, it's just not true. There have been many markets that I've worked in where we've had home sale contingency clauses. It's not uncommon. I have clients under contract right now that are sellers who have accepted a home sale contingency clause. And I have buyers under contract who are in the process of selling their existing property before they can trade up to the next one. So it's not unheard of, okay? Not unheard of. It's a tool or a strategy that can be used in a certain market. Now, let's talk sellers. You're a seller. You want to sell your place. You may not necessarily be looking to buy something else, but you want to sell your place. Let's get realistic. You have got to price your place accordingly. You have to price your place according to today's market. Just like I was saying to buyers earlier, we're not pricing our home based upon what happened 6 months ago. We're not pricing our home based upon what happened a year ago. That ship has sailed. Affordability is a little bit different today than it was 6 months ago or a year ago or longer. And we as sellers today have got to be realistic. If we want to sell our homes, we have to price our homes appropriately. Most importantly, because even if a buyer is willing to overpay for your home, there's a very good chance that their lender is not going to let them. And if the property does not appraise, you're not going to be able to get your home sold. Next thing is, folks, condition. Take some time. Get your property cleaned up. Get your property decluttered. Have your property professionally cleaned. If you have rented your property this summer, professional cleaning is a great idea. Clean the foyer or the vestibule, or if you're a condominium association, is huge. Having those common areas clean and fresh is very important. It shows the entire community cares about the property, not just you trying to get your place sold. I would also recommend to sellers today to really be flexible and be negotiable when it comes to the terms of your offer. Allow for that person to perhaps have a home sale contingency clause. Let's talk about that. Let's look at that. Let's see what they're selling. Is it a decent place? Is it priced right? Is it on the market? If it is, well, then maybe there's not a whole lot of risk to you to work with them. Maybe we're all considering offering an interest rate buy down versus reducing our sale price. Perhaps we offer an interest rate buy down to our potential buyer. It would save them thousands of dollars over the life of the loan and maybe more attractive to them to work with you versus working with somebody else. If we can offer some flexibility and some solutions, I can assure you your home is going to get sold. But you've got to be also reasonable on concessions, reasonable on repairs. If you know something's wrong with your house, fix it. The state of New Jersey requires that sellers complete a New Jersey seller property disclosure statement. That New Jersey seller property disclosure statement must be given to a buyer prior to them signing a contract. If you know that there's something wrong with your house, you must disclose it. If you know that there's something wrong with your house, for goodness sakes, let's just fix it. Let's just fix it, okay? You need to work with a professional that can help you. Just because you're a real estate agent or someone that you know that has a real estate license and can sell in New Jersey and they came to the shore when they were a kid, or their grandmom had a place at the beach, or maybe they were a lifeguard for 20 years, or they worked at the local pancake house, or they sold fudge at the fudge shop, or whatever the case may be, they dated a guy that worked at a bar. Even if they own a condominium in your building, it doesn't necessarily mean that they are qualified to sell here at the shore. There are a lot of nuances that happen. And as I said previously, it may be raining in Philadelphia and sunny here at the shore. All the more reason during a challenging time for you to work with a real estate professional that truly has local knowledge, that they are truly immersed in the market upon which you are searching. Thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. We appreciate your business. We appreciate you listening. And I appreciate your thoughts. Any comments or concerns or questions I'd like to discourse and conversation, I always welcome. So please, if you have something that you'd like to say or share, I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining the Jersey Shore Real Estate Experts, and thank you for listening to us. We appreciate you and appreciate your business.